Listen, I know why you clicked this video. You want to see a dexterity only playthrough. My name is Z, and welcome to the Dark Chronicles of Diablo. In the past, you've seen me do an energy only sorceress, and I killed Hell Baal. You've seen me do a strength only druid, and I died at Hell Ancients. Now, it's time to see me do a dexterity only Amazon. If you're new to this channel, welcome in. I do hardcore playthroughs of Diablo 2 Resurrected, and usually do challenge runs based on viewer suggestions. Today, we're playing a dexterity only Amazon to complete my stat only playthroughs. I suppose we could do a vitality only playthrough. Should we do that one? If so, what build should I do for a vitality only playthrough? It might not be worth playing, but if you guys think it would be fun, I'll do it. I'll be doing this playthrough with only points into dexterity from level 1. No strength, no vitality, and no energy, but who needs that shit anyway? I created my character and I named her a super original name, All Dexterity. The Amazon starts with 20 strength, which allows us to wear equipment, 25 dexterity, which we will put every single point of our stats into, 20 vitality, which gives you life and stamina per point, and 15 energy, which gives you mana. Every single point will go into dexterity when I level up, from level 1 to whatever level it takes to finish this challenge. The rules of the challenge are simple. Every stat point gets put into dexterity. I must play in hardcore mode, and I must find all my own gear or shop it via vendors and gambling. I set the game to players 8 difficulty, and I leave the rogue encampment to get some easy levels. As I'm killing Bloodraven, I'm going to tell you my plan. My plan is to level as a Boazon for the beginning and put points into Fire Arrow and Exploding Arrow. Exploding Arrow will kill Indariel very quickly, and it has a decent area of effect to progress through normal mode. While I'm searching for gear, I'll be careful to look for rubies and amethysts. Rubies give life in helm and armor sockets, which will help as I won't have any vitality. The amethysts will give me strength in helm and armor sockets, which might be useful if I need more strength to equip a new upgrade. I farm Rakanishu for several levels. Most of my playthroughs, I like to farm him to get some easy levels and get a power spike going into the rest of the act. I find a short bow with 3 sockets, and I put 2 chipped emeralds in it and 1 chipped topaz for a damage boost. I also find my first life charm in a grand charm with 10 life and 31 max stamina. The stamina isn't really needed, but it's welcomed as I won't be using any vitality to increase my stamina. I find my first rare armor, and I like it as it has strength on it and life. I throw a chipped ruby into a cap to get plus 10 life to bring my life total up to 103. This is the first time I've been able to get into the triple digits for life. In the underground passage, I find a large charm with plus 3 to strength. For charms, I'll be looking for strength charms, resistance charms, and life charms to kind of balance out what I'm lacking. In the Black Marsh, I kill an elite pack and I get level 12. I'm now able to get Exploding Arrow. Let's talk about this skill for a second. It enchants an arrow that explodes on impact, damaging all nearby enemies. This will do some decent damage with several points into it, and the only synergy is Fire Arrow, which is easy to get points into while leveling. I start farming the Countess, and this is one of my favorite farms to get level 18 or so before I fight Indariel. On the very first run, I get a Tyr, Eth, and Ral rune. On the second run, I get a Ral, and Neff. Ral is the highest rune she can drop, so I already have 3 of those, which is a nice start. I use the runes I found to create Nadir, a rune word in a 2-socket cap. This will give me 2 mana after each kill, and more importantly, this gives me access to an easy 5 strength. The fight against Indariel is easy. I only have 98 life, as you can see, since we got rid of the life cap with rubies in it. I'm able to stay at range and fire explosive arrows which do massive damage to her, due to her negative 50% fire resistance. She didn't drop anything super important, so I end up moving on. The first thing I do in Act 2 is I get a new mercenary. I get a prayer mercenary named Liharis. My favorite name Durga was there, but he was a defiance mercenary, which I wasn't interested in. I find a 3-socket short bow, and I throw my 2 Tal runes in it for 150 poison damage over 5 seconds. I could take the time to farm a 3rd Tal rune, but it didn't seem worth the time as I'd be quickly upgrading this bow. I head down to the Luke Lane sewers and I find Radaman. I start firing explosive arrows into his skull while my boy Liharis takes care of the melee situation. I grab the Book of Skill and head to the Halls of the Dead. Grab the cube, which is essential for my next plan, then head to the Maggot Lair. I found a 8 life large charm in the Maggot Lair, which is welcomed, and this brings my life total up to 114. The Claw Viper Temple had Fang Skin at the amulet spawn, so I used Explosive Arrow to cheese him from a distance until he was dead. Then I grabbed the amulet. Now that I'm back in town, I decided to cube the 3 Ral runes I mentioned earlier into an Ort rune and make Zephyr rune word into a 2-socket longbow. This rune word is pretty awesome. It gives 25% increased attack speed, 25% faster run walk, 33% enhanced damage, which is whatever, 66 attack rating, minus 25% target defense, and 1 to 50 lightning damage. The Twister proc is decent, but I try not to rely on it as you have to get hit for it to work. The point of surviving hardcore is not to get hit often. The Duriel fight was spicy. He killed my mercenary, but slamming exploding arrows into his carapace allowed me to take him down in a relatively normal amount of time. He dropped a unique Dirk, which is the Diggler, and he dropped a set ring, which is Cathin's, and I'll wear that for the life leech and integer damage reduction. Act 3, I was excited to get the Jade figurine quest done, as that's a free 20 life. This brings my life total up to 150, and I'm feeling slightly better about not being as squishy. I did the Gidbin quest for a free rare ring, and I was praying it was decent. It turned out to be a 10 FCR, 61 attack rating, 2 life, 7 magic find ring, which I ended up using. I actually ended up doing the Flare dungeon first, and got the brain without too much trouble. I then had to backtrack to the spider forest and got the eye in the spider cavern, which wasn't a huge deal. I moved forward and entered the sewers level 2 under the Kuras Bazaar and got the heart. The council fight was fairly easy, and with a higher level exploding arrow, I believe I was level 24 or so when doing this, the Hasaurus belt dropped, which I was pumped about. It has 20 life and 20 cold resist, and that's great for a belt slot at this point. This brings me up to 176 life to enter Mephisto's chamber. Mephisto went about as you'd expect. I used my mercenary to melee him as I peppered him with exploding arrows. I kept him alive the whole time, feeding him potions. If you didn't know, you can feed your mercenary potions using the shift key and then 1, 2, 3, and 4. Mephisto dropped an Ort rune and an Arctic belt, which I wasn't too excited about, if I'm honest. I ran out into Act 4 and found Iswal in the Plains of Despair. He took forever to kill, but when he finally died, he dropped another Ort rune. This is kind of crazy that I'm getting Orts off these bosses. I don't know what's going on. I did my Hellforge and I got a flawless amethyst and a perfect diamond with a Tal rune. No, I didn't get another Ort. I know what you're thinking. It was a Tal. I can use these amethysts for strength if I need them, and they give 8 strength each. Dude, the Diablo fight was spicy as hell. It took me forever, and I had to go to town multiple times to get more mana potions. The mercenary was useless as he died almost instantly. I just dodged his lightning hose attacks and his hellfire, and I used healing potions during his Hell Nova AoE attack. It took a very, very, very long time, but I ended up killing him, and he had the worst drops I've ever seen. I think this is because he died near an edge, and some of the items didn't appear on the land where they normally spawn. Act 5 is amazing. I love this act. I killed Shank the Overseer and started farming Eldritch like it was my job. My goal was to get level 35 or so just farming him and smash my way to the end of the difficulty and start Nightmare. On one of my Eldritch kills, he dropped a Sanders Gloves, which gives 20% increased attack speed and 40 life. These gloves are amazing for my character right now. This brings my life total up to around 240 when rescuing Anya. She gave me a crappy spear for a quest reward, and I moved on to the Ancients fight. The Ancients fight was easy. I used my Valkyrie and Mercenary to tank while I pounded into them with exploding arrows. This fight was very low stress, and being a bit overleveled makes it very easy. The Bale fight took a long time, just like Diablo. The exploding arrows just aren't great versus bosses, and they're pretty good against regular monsters. After a very long time, I killed Bale with my Valkyrie, and he dropped a bunch of rares and a unique giant sword. Alright, here are my stats finishing normal mode. I am level 39 with 29 strength, 222 dexterity, 20 vitality, and 15 energy. My exploding arrow does around 225 fire damage with 3065 attack rating. I have 244 life and 76 mana. My resists are 40 fire, 75 lightning, 30 cold, 27 poison. I have 45% increased attack speed, 6% life leech, and 4% mana leech. Here is my gear as usual. Take a look, and you can pause or slow down this video if you'd like to read each piece individually. Alright my dudes, nightmare time. I leave the rogue encampment at level 39. This is appropriate for nightmares starting. I entered the Den of Evil and cleared that out and decided I'm going to respec. All of my stats went back into dexterity, of course, so that was brainless and easy. But I decided to go with a freezing arrow build, so I put all the points I could into freezing arrow, then the rest into the synergy cold arrow for added damage. This ended up being a great choice as I was mowing down enemies compared to the exploding arrow build. I killed Treehead Woodfist and saved Kane. I went to Akara and I wanted her to give me a good rare ring, and she did not disappoint. It had 95 attack rating, 59 mana, 8% fire resist, and half freeze duration. Yes, I see it has 10% faster cast rate as well, but that's fairly useless for my build. I started slamming Nightmare Countess runs to get some runes, and I got Amn and Ort on my first run. I made the Peace rune word, which is a useful 2 Amazon skills and a level 15 Valkyrie proc armor. The next run, I got a Soul rune, which is exactly what I wanted to make Insight. This would be extremely valuable as my freezing arrow is very mana intensive, and having Meditation Aura will be valuable. This rolled 221% enhanced damage, which is on the lower end, level 16 Meditation Aura, which is on the high end, and 3 to critical strike, which is in the middle. I went on to fight Indariel at level 44, and she didn't die super fast. She would have died way faster if I had stayed exploding arrow build, but I'm still happy with my decision. After a long time, I killed Indariel, and she dropped crap along with a unique repeating bow, which is Doomslinger. In hindsight, I really should have tried to get the strength to utilize this, as the repeating crossbow has an insanely fast base attack speed, and it also has 30% increased attack speed as a mod, 15 life, and 1 to Amazon skills, and 35% chance to pierce. This was a missed opportunity, and I should definitely learn from this mistake. In Act 2, I changed mercenaries to my dude Durga. He has Might Aura, which increases physical damage for the 3 of us. This will help my Valkyrie and Mercenary do a bunch more physical damage to complement my cold damage. Radamant got slammed with my newfound power. I was killing Fangskin, but some snakes kept flanking me to the left, and I had to divide my shots between the 2 groups, but they all ended up dying fairly quickly. I grabbed the amulet, and then I went to the maggot lair. I then killed Coldworm the Burrower, and I snagged the staff. I had some excess perfect gems, so I crafted a safety amulet and was blown away by how decent it was. It had replenished life, 20 resist all, which is the big part, 2 integer damage reduction, and 1 integer magic damage reduction. I had also gambled a coronet that had 20 resist all, and that would be used over my Nadir helm. So basically these 2 upgrades gave me 40% resist all, which was massive. The Duriel fight took a long time, but between both tanks and me spamming freezing arrow, he went down eventually. The tough part is that Duriel has 75% resistance to cold damage, so I wasn't doing optimal damage to him. He didn't really drop much, the small charm was a dud, and the ring also wasn't great. Act 3, I did the Jade figurine quest right away, bringing my life total to 278. It's still low, but every point matters. I also cleared out the spider cavern and got the eye, so Zark the Burning was a bit scary with its amplified damage curse. I did the Gidbin quest for a chance of a ring upgrade. Unfortunately, this didn't happen as the ring Ormus gave me was kinda shitty. The brain and heart went smoothly with no close calls. I then did farming of Lower Kuras to find charms and gear to upgrade my life total. I got this up to around 380 life or so and decided to move on. Mephisto and Nightmare wasn't too bad. My two tanks kept him at range and I peppered him with freezing arrows until his demise. He dropped a rare circlet and those can be really exciting. It ended up not being very exciting and I vendored it. Nightmare Iswal was fairly easy. He didn't do much damage and it was just a tank and spank. I got level 56 killing him and I went on to do Nightmare Hellforge and got a pole rune. This was exciting as I can make Wisdom Runeword with it later once I find a 3-socket helmet that's low enough strength requirements for my Amazon to equip it. Diablo the Lord of Terror was a long fight, but not as long and scary as normal mode. It went way smoother and way less dangerous, and he went down with no great drops per usual. I did my usual Eldritch farming like a savage and wanted to do this until at least level 60 before moving on to Ancients and Bale. I rescued Anya for the 10 resist all and I now have 406 life. The quest reward was nothing great again. I thought that Nightmare Ancients would be extremely spicy, but it wasn't that bad. I put a ton of potions on the ground in case it was a long epic battle, but I didn't end up needing hardly any of them. I took down Korlik while my tanks had the other two distracted. Once he went down, I went after Talik and the Mercenary and Valkyrie were double teaming Modok at the same time. Once I killed Talik, they killed Modok almost simultaneously and the fight ended. Nightmare Bale was challenged at level 63. He has 117,000 life in Nightmare mode if you didn't know, which is quite a bit of life to go through. He also has a 45% chance to block and 50% cold resist. The reason I'm telling all of you this is it makes doing damage to him quite a bit harder. This fight took a long time, and I had to resummon my Valkyrie quite a few times. It took a few trips to town to get more mana potions. He dropped these Demon Hide gloves, which were amazing. It has dual leech for 3%, which is perfect, 15 strength, which was the big thing, and 13 cold resist and 20 fire resist. Here are my stats finishing Nightmare. I'm level 63, and I have 35 strength, 348 dexterity, 20 vitality, and 15 energy. My freezing arrow is doing about 1100 damage with about 6200 attack rating. I have 412 life, and my resistances are 61 fire, 75 lightning, 72 cold, and 72 poison. For skills, I have maxed out Valkyrie, maxed freezing arrow, and maxed cold arrow for its energy. Here is also my gear when finishing Nightmare. I won't go over all the stats, but you can pause or slow down this video to take a look per usual. Hell yeah, I'm now a conqueror. After killing Nightmare Bale, I wanted to farm some Nightmare cows to get more levels and some gear. I also switched my mercenary to a Holy Freeze aura and a dude named Pratham. Bye bye Durga, love you bro. To finish my Nightmare farming, I did some Bale runs as well. I entered Hell and went straight to the Mausoleum and Crypt near Bloodraven. It's an eye level 85 zone, so it can drop any item in the game, and there are no cold immunes there. I got a few levels and no great drops, and I kinda moved on. I used my respec to do Lightning Fury and Freezing Arrow build. I maxed Lightning Fury, Charge Strike, and Freezing Arrow. I would use Lightning Fury as my main attack with Freezing Arrow on backup for lightning immunes. With this new build, I farmed Hell Countess for multiple runs, with my best drop being a Lum Rune. I freed Cain in Hell, and then I turned the Lum Rune into a smoke which gives 50 resist all, and I gave it to my mercenary. I made my way to Andariel, the Maiden of Anguish herself. I cleared the rooms fairly easily, but then Andariel took out my Valkyrie and Mercenary extremely quickly and started chasing me around the room. I was throwing Lightning Fury at her, and I had an idea to summon the Valkyrie to tank while I used Charge Strike, as that's one of the best boss killers in the game. And she one-shot me. Fuck. Well, that's disappointing. I should have kept doing range attacks only. Time to start working on the next playthrough, which I've actually already started. If you like this type of content, hit the subscribe button, as I produce hardcore Diablo 2 content often on this channel. If you made it this far, to the end of the video, smash a comment below and include the code word BALLS in your comment somewhere, just so I know that you're an OG and watched the whole damn thing. Alright, that's all I got for today. Alright, my dudes, Z is out. Peace!